last night, Jay, it was Flynn that really sticks with you.
Johnny Flynn was an absolute warrior on the floor, and Alex Ruoff for West Virginia has got to have a big night shooting the ball. He has got to make shots against this zone, and you know Johnny Flynn is going to bring it again for Syracuse.
Check the starting lineups right now. We begin with the 7th-seeded West Virginia Mountaineers in the backcourt of freshman Darryl Bryan, along with the sharpshooting Alex Ruoff. Up front, they've got a lot of length in Deshaun Butler, a second-team All-Big East performer. Devin Ebanks, a terrific rebounder. Also Wellington Smith for Syracuse. Guys who sure got their work in last night. Johnny Flynn and Eric Devendorf, who combined to play 128 minutes in that game. Rick Jackson, Arinze Onuaku, and Paul Harris. Poor Paul Harris. He was much maligned, missed dunks and layups. His coach, Jim Boeheim, took shots at him in the post-game press conference. In a half-joking way. Paul Harris had 29 points and 22 rebounds last night.
22 rebounds. A guy that just fought all game long. But he did miss a couple layups.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Syracuse in white and West Virginia in blue. Just the second time they have met in the Big East championship game. The last one, the championship tournament, the last one in the championship game back in 05, won by the Orange.
West Virginia has to move the ball.
Ruoff, deep three. Two Mountaineers on the offensive glass, and Deshaun Butler is called for the travel. Hall of Famer Jim Boeheim said he has never in his career been as proud of a team as he was after last night's game. He's got 796 wins. He's never been as proud of a team as he was of last night's game.
You can certainly understand it. It was a game that I think everybody that was here was proud to be involved in and honored to see.
Johnny Flynn misses the three, and Paul Harris called for the foul. Bob Huggins, meanwhile, in his second year as head coach at his alma mater, they've had a terrific season. They finished higher than they were expected to finish in the Big East. They played a tough schedule. They have beaten some good teams. They beat Notre Dame, and then last night, what impressed you the most about their win over Pittsburgh?
Well, the fact that they ran their offense and made Pittsburgh chase them. You know, Pittsburgh is a man-to-man team, and this team runs a lot of cut-and-fill motion. In fact, that's what they're running right now against the zone, trying to get some movement. They didn't get much movement on the first possession.
Chuck Bryant misses from the corner. Devendorf into the front court. Teams will take a huge number of threes against the Syracuse zone, but they generally make a very low percentage, and that was the case for West Virginia in their regular season loss to Syracuse. One thing West Virginia does not have, anybody with the size and strength of Arinze Onuaku.
A nice pass by Eric Devendorf, just throwing it up toward the rim, and Onuaku holding off his man, had that angle and held his ground.
The final score, by the way, last night for Syracuse, 127-117. Another missed three. The putback is good for Deshaun Butler.
The offensive glass is going to be a big factor for West Virginia. They are long-armed. They are athletic. And against the zone, there are going to be a lot of opportunities for offensive boards.
Flynn a miss. Butler the rebound. Butler the push. Bryant the kick. Ebanks the corner jumper.
Devin Ebanks just getting better and better. This young man has big-time talent. His arms go forever. He's skilled. He's a very, very good passer. And he is just scratching the surface of how good he's going to be.
When Chuck Bryant comes out, their point guard, Ebanks is one of the guys who helps them out in ball handling and initiating the offense, along with Deshaun Butler and Alex Ruoff. Ebanks, also a guy, Jay, has had 3 games this year with at least 17 rebounds. Three from the corner. Deshaun Butler, what a start for the Mountaineers.
That is awfully difficult for Rick Jackson to have to move his feet and get out to that corner to put pressure on a shot. West Virginia doing a good job of keeping the floor spaced.
And Rick Jackson might be coming out. Anjanat has come to the scores table, as has one of last night's heroes, Andy Routens. Onuaku had it, lost it. Devendorf corrals it. Plenty of time still to shoot. Flynn. High arcing shot. Tipped back up by Jackson. Jackson fouled.
One of the ways to beat a zone is to just simply beat it down the floor. After the miss in transition, Alex Ruoff gets the ball into the middle of the floor, passes it, and then all of a sudden it winds up in the corner. Good ball movement against the zone, moving it from side to side and around the horn. That's just not good defense by Syracuse. They've got to get out there and get a hand up to take that shot away.
Jackson at the line. Anjanat and Andy Routens into the game, and now early for Syracuse. Jim Boeheim will only comfortably play 7 guys. Andy Routens hit 6 threes last night, many of them at absolutely critical moments in whatever overtime he happened to hit them in.
And they all had a hand up, and he does a good job of coming off screens, and he sets his feet so quickly and gets into his shot with such great shot preparation.
All the big guys fouled out for Syracuse last night. Anjanat, Onuaku, and Jackson, so they went with a small lineup, but eventually a walk-on. Justin Thomas, who had only played about 20 minutes all year, played 7 games.
Syracuse has taken a couple of bad shots. Paul Harris, the jump shot, and that was just a difficult challenge, really bad shot by Eric Devendorf off the drive. He moved the ball into his left hand. It was kind of a shot put throw.
First on Butler. Devendorf from the corner. It's a long 2 for Eric Devendorf.
That's more his game.
Syracuse goal, Eric Devendorf.
Got to get the ball into the middle of this zone and then along the baseline.
Who's the guy ideally for West Virginia you'd like to see catch it near the foul line?
Anybody. Ebanks, very good passer, a playmaker in the middle. They're going to move different guys in there. It's not going to be just one guy.
They trap Ebanks on the sideline. Well, that's the call. Michael Stevens is gesturing to Jim Boeheim about the call.
Looks like it's going to West Virginia. The equivalent of the old force out rule, which I miss, frankly.
No foul, but stays West Virginia possession. Anjanat gambled, couldn't get it, and then the foul going against the Mountaineers. Chuck Bryant is called for the personal. Well, it is Friday the 13th here in New York City. Scary stuff outside as Syracuse and West Virginia get going inside the Garden. It was 3 hours and 46 minutes. I think it ended at 1:22 in the morning. And just every overtime, Jay, ended with such an incredible play, either a defensive play or an open shot that was missed. There was so much tension and drama in every single second of the first 5 overtimes.
You know, Dan, you hear it as much as I do. People say, well, you know, there's nothing on the line when these teams are playing. They're both going to the NCAA tournament. Well, you know what? It didn't matter. The Big East championship was on the line, and those kids fought their guts out from start to very long-awaited finish. That was an incredible performance by 2 teams over the course of close to 4 hours. I've never seen anything like it.
As you've said on and off the year over the last 22 hours or so, you thought it was an honor and a privilege to be here in the building and witness that kind of a game firsthand.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be at all these games and watch these young men compete, but never more so than last night. I mean, what an extraordinary performance. And guys like Johnny Flynn laid it all out on the line for close to 4 hours. And I don't think Johnny Flynn sweats.
Anjanat on a nice feed from Rick Jackson. Johnny Flynn, a young man you've gotten a chance to work with and get to know a little bit at the LeBron James Skills Academy as well.
Yeah, both Fran Fraschilla and I had a chance to work with him, and there wasn't a better guard at that camp. And a great demeanor, hard worker, gets along with people. I couldn't have been more impressed with anyone than I was with Johnny Flynn.
Bryant inside, Ebanks the miss, rebound Anjanat. Anjanat, kind of under the radar, gave Jim Boeheim some very important minutes last night. He had almost fallen out of the rotation, but they needed him for big minutes last night. Devendorf will never get a better look. The assist to Routens.
Andy Routens could have shot that ball. It wouldn't have been a bad shot. But he saw that a teammate had a better shot and could step into that shot. That was a great and unselfish pass by Andy Routens.
And Routens may be thought of outside this part of the country where people know him better as just a shooter, but a good defender, gets his hand in the passing lanes, a willing passer, and a much better all-around player than he gets credit for.
No question. He's a very smart defender. He plays angles very well, gets steals. Now watch this. This would be a good shot by Routens. Instead, passes it to somebody, Eric Devendorf, with a better shot. A shooter stepping into it.
Dad Leo, a former star at Syracuse, a former teammate of yours in Europe. I was probably one of several hundred people texting with Leo during that game last night. Talk about a proud papa watching that game.
Well, Leo was a great player. Not only played at Syracuse, but he started his career at Minnesota. He was a freshman the same year that Magic Johnson was a freshman at Michigan State.
20 points, 6 threes, and some huge threes late in various overtime periods for Andy Routens last night, a young man who missed all of the last season with a knee injury. Devendorf is out most of the season as well. This Syracuse team much better than it was a year ago. NIT each of the last couple of years, and they're way better than that this year. As Darryl Truck Bryant, freshman point guard, thrust into a starting role after the season-ending shoulder injury to Joe Mazzulla.
You can see all the different motion and movement that West Virginia gets. You're going to have different people that wind up in the middle of that zone. There you got a point guard being in the middle of the zone, getting an open shot as a result. What a great name, Truck Bryant. You know, that's a Big East name. You know, no guard in the Big East is named Tiny or Speedy. You know, they're Truck.
Yeah. Ebanks, 6'9", 210. They're trying to put some weight on him. You play for Bob Huggins. He wants you to get in the weight room and get stronger. But this young man, even without the benefit of a ton of strength, is a terrific talent.
Well, he plays strong. Well, the difference between being bulky and strong. That young man plays strong.
Anjan out to steal. Flynn out of control, stumbling a little bit, and he travels. The West Virginia Mountaineers, the number 7 seed in the Big East, 10-8 in the league, 23-10 overall. A very good strength of schedule. Played some difficult games outside the conference. They beat Pittsburgh last night. They beat Notre Dame a couple of nights ago, and they've got some quality wins in the regular season as well. They beat Villanova. They won at Ohio State. They won at Georgetown. They won at Ole Miss. They've got some nice road wins.
This is a quality basketball team. It's a top 25 team. It'll be in the top 4 or 5 seed lines for the NCAA tournament. But what a good pass. Great cut by Jones. And he turned and faced the defense, and he saw. Just took a good look without panicking.
There's a lot of length and interchangeable parts and skill on this West Virginia team as they shredded the zone on that trip down. Anjan working hard on the inside for the Orange.
And West Virginia, think about how good this team would be if Joe Mazzulla had been at the point all season long. And Truck Bryant has really matured, freshman taking over the point, but to have Mazzulla and his toughness and experience at the point all season, we'd be looking at a much better West Virginia team, and it's very good right now.
And the foul on Devendorf to take us to a break. Joe Mazzulla.
The top 30 plays of the last 30 years. Number 3, Bryce Drew does it.
They've got to go the length of the court with 2.5 left. Sykes, long pass. Bill Jenkins, Drew, straight for the win. Go!
And certainly an unforgettable play to see the second greatest play of the last 30 years. Tune in tomorrow night at 9 Eastern during the Big East Championship game. And we will reveal number 2. Then number 1 will be revealed on Sunday during the ACC Championship. If we can step out on a limb here, we've still got 1983, Lorenzo Charles, North Carolina State, Jim Valvano. And we've still got Christian Laettner, Duke, turnaround against Kentucky. You were an assistant coach for the Blue Devils in that game. So that aside, got a hunch which is number 1?
Well, you know, on the Laettner shot, I was the assistant coach behind the huddle when Coach K was giving him the play that was saying, what are we going to do? We had a great year. You got to just pack it in, forget it.
Well, you don't want to get their hopes up too high.
I would think that Laettner shot has to be it. With the magnitude of that game and that play and how well played that game was, that was an absolutely incredible moment.
I will respectfully disagree, given that the other one was a national championship game and yours was a regional final. As you say, reasonable minds can differ.
Reasonable minds can differ.
No, that doesn't do either of us any good in this particular situation.
You're being unreasonable. You're disagreeing with me.
Well, we will find out tomorrow night. We will settle it on air, much to the dismay of one of us.
Well, if it weren't for Derek Wittenberg continuing to insist that shot was a pass, I might say that was the greatest play. But how about that Bryce Drew play? It's 11 years ago today that play was made. The play was called Pacer.
Alex Ruoff, West Virginia's all-time leader in three-pointers.
And even though that was not an offensive rebound grabbed at the rim, you know, that I still insist, that is the best time to shoot a 3 is off an offensive rebound.
Andy Roughton, the answer at the other end for Roughton. He hit 6 of them last night.
Can you name a guy in college basketball that gets his feet set any better or quicker for a 3 than Andy Roughton?
It was amazing to see where his feet were pointing when he caught the ball on some of those 3s last night and how much he was able to pivot and square in the air to face the basket.
I guess he has had some pretty good schooling with the family he grew up in. His mother's a heck of a basketball mind.
He would always get shots off over Dad. Dad wasn't playing a whole lot of defense. Ruoff again. As the shot clock is running out, Johnny Flynn with the rebound. You see any signs of fatigue from Syracuse?
No, but it wouldn't show up right now, even if there were. And I think the signs of fatigue would come in the second half and probably come with their shots coming up short. So it's a team that plays some zone, or plays all zone, frankly. I mean, they play a little bit of man, but it's only out of necessity.
Well, the over-under, by the way, on shots taken at Leo rounds, we're at 2 and climbing right now. But Dad could do a lot of things, but he couldn't square and fire like that, could he?
He's got unbelievable range, and his shot preparation is impeccable. And he is ready to shoot when the ball arrives. Down with his hands ready. He's got perfect form. His footwork outstanding.
Pretty good freshman class with Devin Ebanks, Chuck Bryant, Kevin Jones. Bob Huggins has a highly thought-of class coming in. Some more bulk coming in next year. It's just another team to compete against in the recruiting battles in the Big East.
Well, Bob Huggins can recruit. He can certainly coach. One of the great coaches in the game. And Devin Ebanks was supposed to go to Indiana. Kelvin Sampson recruited him to Bloomington. When everything blew up there, he became available again, and Bob Huggins was right there for him. Ebanks is going to be a great player. What's really impressed me about Ebanks, of the many things, he's a very good passer. He's second in assists for this West Virginia team in Big East games.
Onuaku. Play on. It'll be Syracuse ball. Bob Huggins, second year as head coach. There's the suit he wore Wednesday. There's the suit he wore yesterday. Let's check out Bob Huggins here tonight.
He's consistent. It's consistent.
Is he superstitious? Does he not like checking a bag? My favorite part of the whole outfit is the pass hanging out off the belt loop down to his knee, as if anybody's going to stop Bob Huggins on his way into the building.
I think really he's like Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. He wants to keep things simple. You know, just to see he's got 10 of the same outfit in his closet.
Johnny Flynn with a jumper. It's a 1-point game.
But this is also New York City. There are a lot of one-hour cleaners here.
Yes.
You get it dry clean and return to the locker room, no problem.
I'll tell you, we're pretty brave picking on him from 60 feet away without being able to listen to us. I'll be right behind you when we talk to him after the game. There's another side to Bob Huggins. He's earned the name of Huggy Bear as well. And he's got it going. I mean, we were down there last Saturday, and you were there for game day. I mean, what an environment they've got now in Morgantown.
Incredible.
John Beilein started, of course, great success the last few years. Bob Huggins has had 2 quality years now with Morgantown. An academic All-American, a 1977 grad of West Virginia.
Well, not happy with his team's offensive execution right now. They're just throwing the ball around the perimeter against this 2-3 zone. They've got to get it into the gaps, whether it's by the pass, but especially off the dribble.
Air ball on the 3 this time, saved by Onuaku. He gets it back and lays it in.
A pretty nice pass there by Paul Harris, and good use of the left hand by Lindsay Onuaku. I wonder if Harris was a little reticent to shoot that ball for fear that Jim Boeheim would make fun of him at the postgame press conference.
Well, the line of the night was when Harris said, you know, I missed that layup, and Boeheim interjected, which one? They can all smile after a win. In transition, Flynn. Routens. Rebound, Ruoff.
Well, he set those puppies pretty quick, didn't he? Every time he shoots it, you think it's going in, and that one almost did. Wasn't off by much.
Doesn't start, but gets a lot of minutes. Syracuse goes smaller with the Harris and Routens in the bottom of the zone along with Onuaku.
Yeah, he's really a starter, which is coming off the bench. It provides him a different dimension, much more scoring.
He rebounds the miss by Jones, and they look to push again. Looks like they're making an effort to get it inside, and why not?
He's trying to isolate Onuaku inside. They're fronting him, and he is just using that big body to hold off the defender and seal, and they just throw up to the rim. You got to have some help side defense.
6 for Onuaku, a 6'9", 275-pound junior. Butler is fouled by Routens.
Onuaku's got size inside. You can see him just holding off Wellington Smith. And the easy layup. I have to think that Maryland is in with that win. I mean, to have the quality wins that they've had this year, even though they've lost a fair amount of games, boy, it seems he's just falling asleep on the out of bounds. And John Flowers just went from the elbow right to the middle of a lane, and nobody jumped in front of him.
Anjanat is first.
I mean, that was just too easy. There was no screen set, just came from the backside and came right to the ball. Nobody jumped in front.
Flowers just a 44% free throw shooter. Amazingly enough, he's actually been allowed to take some threes this year. He's taken 20. He's made 6 of them. So he could hit the odd 3, but he's only 44% with some questionable form from the line.
Maybe ought to back up then.
Syracuse leading by 3, playing about 21 hours after their historic 6 overtime win over the University of Connecticut last night.
1-3-1 half-court trap right now by West Virginia. They ran this the entire second half of the game against Pittsburgh.
Really gave the Panthers a lot of trouble. Juan Blair had a tough night last night.
Really not hard to figure out. You get it to the baseline and throw over the top.
Anjanat doing all the dirty work right now for the Orange. Anjanat tips it out, but Ruoff's got it.
Well, you wonder if Johnny Flynn is a little bit fatigued. He's not getting back, and he's missed some jumpers that he would normally drill.
But Paul Harris never looks fatigued. Off Harris, though, says Ed Corbett. It'll be West Virginia ball.
Harris attacking, but just looked like he lost the ball. Not sure whether it was hit away from him, but there was a reach from behind, and he lost control of the ball on the dribble and just wasn't able to secure it again to make that layup. I mean, you got to come down on both feet, stop, and make a play and make that layup. And Boeheim telling him that right now.
Routens in for Harris. Neither Flynn nor Devendorf has come out of the game, and they played 67 and 61 minutes respectively last night. And remember, they played the night before too against Seton Hall. This is the 3rd game in as many nights for both of these teams.
Well, for a coach, the really good thing about playing in a 6 overtime game is nobody complains about playing time.
I heard Justin Thomas, the walk-on, was giving Boeheim a little bit of lip after the game, but he only got 7 minutes. They had 4 guys foul out. Chris Joseph had to come in. He's a wing player, really, a guy who has almost fallen out of the rotation. He had to come in and to play the center down in the middle of that 2-3 zone. And there's Justin Thomas, a walk-on, a guy who had played about 20 minutes the whole season. And he was needed for 7 minutes in the 2 in the 5th overtime, and then all 5 of the 6th overtime last night.
When he came into the game, Thomas plays on the top of that 2-3 zone, and he was jumping up and down, doing jumping jacks, all this energy, and everybody else was bending over at the waist, trying to gasp for air. Quite a contrast when he came into the game.
Held the ball between Smith and Anjanat.
Possession to West Virginia.
The arrow to West Virginia. Let's bring in Doris Burke.
Well, guys, how did the people around the Syracuse Orange react? Well, when Arinze Onuaku got back to the locker room, there were 35 messages on his cell phone. For Jim Boeheim, he received one incredibly moving email. The reason it was so moving, an intensely private person, never motivated to be in the spotlight, sent him a message. He said, "Coach, congratulations. Please tell the young men that as a Syracuse graduate, I was so proud of the incredible effort it took to beat Connecticut. Best regards, Jim Brown." Signed number 44, guys.
Wow. Not bad. Somebody who can appreciate giving the ultimate effort. Johnny Flynn lays it in. Syracuse extends the lead to 5.
Syracuse leads 23-18.
Well, if Syracuse is tired, then West Virginia must be exhausted.
It's a 9-0 run for the Orange. The Mountaineers have gone almost 5 minutes since they scored a point.
They look confused. They're catching, looking. Their movement has not been well defined. That pass is right down at Flowers' feet. That was just not a good pass by Devin Ebanks because it was not catchable. Here's the steal and the quick run out. Everybody for West Virginia down below the free throw line. No defensive balance. Nobody rotates back. Wellington Smith tried to get back. That was an easy basket because there was no defensive balance.
Look at the numbers Flynn has put up in the first 2 games here. A total of 53 points and 22 assists. He's got 5 points and 3 assists so far tonight. Devendorf inside. Devendorf gets it back. Nice unselfish play.
Devendorf has got a terrific left hand. He used the rim to try to avoid the shot block and used that left hand for the little reverse kiss off the glass.
When he plays under control and smart, he's a heck of a player.
Well, he's a heck of an offensive player. He doesn't play a whole lot of defense, and he doesn't rebound. That's one thing that I think he could be a lot tougher in. I mean, you look at his rebound numbers per minute, and you think he was playing dodgeball.
Ebanks. No, off the glass. All he was trying to do was draw the foul on Onuaku. First points in better than 6 minutes for the Mountaineers.
He probably should have gotten that foul call because even though he jumped into Onuaku, Onuaku was coming into him as well. It's not like Onuaku went straight up and down.
John Flowers with a block on Onuaku. Still plenty of time. Onuaku spins, and he got it blocked again.
West Virginia long-armed and athletic, and they can block some shots. Ebanks the step back, got bumped, but banks it open, and Syracuse, it'll look tired to me.
Madison Square Garden in New York City, a part of Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage. Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Semifinal number 2, Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Doris Berg, and a more heady play from Andy Routens.
Good offensive rebound, immediately throwing it across to Johnny Flynn. And then the ball comes along the baseline drive. He drifts into the corner. And when he was recruited, were you saying he was like a legacy because of his dad?
Kind of. They got to let me in. They got to.
Flounder.
Yeah. But he has turned into a terrific player again, battling back from a serious knee injury that cost him all of last season. And a much more than just a very good outside shooter. Now, Paul Harris is going to check back into the game for Syracuse. Routens will come out. 30-second timeout, but Jim Boeheim just called it because he didn't have a substitution made. He wants to keep it going here, so the players will stay on the floor.
Syracuse makes a substitution. Players notice.
With 14 seconds left, you want to try to get one shot, but leave yourself enough time for an offensive rebound.
Nearly stolen. The gamble by Flynn. Chuck Bryant. Got it.
That's the three-pointer for Gerald Bryant to West Virginia.
And good! Devendorf. About a 55-footer for Devendorf at the end of the half. And once again, they will go to the monitor as they did at the end of regulation last night when it was waved off by the slimmest of margins.
A flair for the dramatic. I thought he could have gotten further up the court. There's no question this thing's good.
Almost a second to go. Devendorf with a 3 at the end of the half. Wow.
Anywhere in the building, he's in range.
The officials are looking at the monitor as you are at home right now, but it's clearly good. Tim Higgins, the signal. It's a 3 for Devendorf to answer the 1 from Bryant. And Jim Boeheim says, can you believe it? Despite all that Syracuse had to do last night, and of course you remember last night at the end of regulation, Eric Devendorf apparently for the win, a 1/10 of a second too late. So it would take them 6 overtimes to secure the win and advance to tonight. Devendorf leaving nothing to chance here tonight. A 55-footer at the end of the first half with just about a second, maybe a little bit less than that. Clearly good. You can't make this stuff up, Jay. I mean, do you believe in destiny? Eric Devendorf with a 55-footer has not come out of the game tonight. Johnny Flynn has not come out of the game tonight, and they both look fine.
Well, we talked a lot about fatigue. Will Syracuse be tired after playing 6 overtimes last night? But they certainly didn't look tired in the first half, and they didn't look tired during halftime. Syracuse came out with 8 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on the halftime clock and got in layup line. I've never seen anything like that.
Almost as if they're looking tired right in the face and flaunting that they're feeling good.
West Virginia, when they came back out with 3 minutes to go on the clock, they saw Syracuse already out there in layup line.
Travel turns it over to the Mountaineers. Time now to take a look at our first half stats brought to you by Guinness. 57% shooting for West Virginia, but they had 13 fewer attempts than Syracuse. One of the big reasons Syracuse At an entirely unreasonable number of offensive rebounds from Bob Huggins' point of view. 13 offensive boards.
That led to 15 second chance points, and West Virginia also turned the ball over 10 times in that first half against a zone. That is an unacceptable number for West Virginia.
Devin Ebanks gets into the middle of the zone and a foul. Onuaku, I believe, is first.
Syracuse, despite the questions about fatigue and all the minutes that they played, has been the more active team.
West Virginia also played last night, but earlier their game began at 7. The Syracuse game began after 9:30 and lasted until 1:22 in the morning. Paul Harris not missing a layup or a dunk here tonight.
Turnover, easy layup. Devin Ebanks couldn't get a straight line pass, just floated one up, and Eric Devendorf anticipated it. Very nicely done by Syracuse.
Let's go to Doris Burke.
A visibly frustrated Bobby Huggins came out of the locker room most disappointed in his team's lack of rebounding. He said, it would be nice if my guys would catch the ball in a stance and deliver a pass at somebody's waist instead of below the knees. He said, bottom line, Syracuse was just more aggressive than us. And Jay, those are not characteristics we've come to associate with his teams.
No question. And more of the bad news for West Virginia. I mean, if they're not able to win this game, that may be the end of the suit and outfit for Bob Huggins. He might have to go with something else in the NCAA tournament.
Ebanks doing what he does best as he banks in the miss. And for those who weren't with us in the first half, third day in a row, perhaps superstition, who knows? Bob Huggins wearing the exact same outfit. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Man-to-man for West Virginia. They spent a good part of the first half in that 1-3-1. They are switching everything. That means Ruoff on Onuaku, and that is a bad matchup. Got away with it with the walk.
Let's take a look at the last trip down. It didn't take very long. Don't blink or you'll miss it.
Just a poor pass by Devin Ebanks. Nice job by Devendorf, and a really good job of passing ahead. That ball never hit the floor until it was dunked in by Paul Harris.
Johnny Flynn now with 6 assists on the night, approaching his average.
Just about every one of Syracuse's field goals has been assisted.
Alex Ruoff. Ruoff with his second 3 of the night.
Alex Ruoff came into West Virginia with the reputation of a shooter, and he will leave West Virginia as a complete basketball player.
Bob Huggins says he has turned into their best defender. He's a lot tougher than he used to be. He can put the ball on the floor. He rebounds better. Academic All-American as well. A turnover now, and Ruoff's got it. Nice look ahead. Wellington Smith. Off to Ebanks. Timeout, Syracuse. A 7-0 run for the Mountaineers, and all of a sudden they are back within 2. You're watching semifinal action of the 2009 Big East Championship from Madison Square Garden in New York City. A part of Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage. And we're back at Madison Square Garden here where West Virginia's got a 1-point lead over Syracuse, playing less than 24 hours after the 6 overtime game last night against UConn, one of the longest games in NCAA history. Updating the number of minutes that some of the Syracuse players have played. Neither Flynn nor Devendorf has come out of the game tonight. These are their minutes over the last 3 nights. With 67 for Flynn last night, 61 for Devendorf last night. For more, here's Doris Burke.
Well, any name on that list could be called the MVP, but this is Brad Pike, the head athletic trainer. To his left is Ryan Cabalas, and these 2 guys could be considered MVPs. The staff was up until 6 o'clock watching tape. These 2 guys got right to work during last night's game, forcing fluid. They said for any guy over 200 pounds, which is basically the entire roster, 85 ounces of fluid they forced them to drink throughout the course of the night. There are some guys with a history of cramping. Johnny Flynn, however, is not one of them. That was the major thing they were trying to prevent here tonight. We'll see how it goes for the final 14 guys.
Yeah, but you know, Doris, Bill Raftery is under 200 pounds, and he's way over 85 ounces of fluid in the night.
He's a well-hydrated man. Well, remember last year when Syracuse had no depth, no Routens, and no Devendorf because of injuries. Johnny Flynn, Jay, as you well know, literally played almost every second of every game in conference play. If there's one player in America you would think would be able to play the number of minutes that Flynn has had to play the last couple of nights, it would be him.
And the coaching staff has made the point with this team that, hey, listen, you guys used to play 3 and 4 games in a day when you played AAU ball. This isn't all that much different. They don't really acknowledge tired. They make sure they get their rest. I think it was really interesting that they didn't have to change their routine today. Jim Boeheim does not believe in day-of-game shoot-arounds. He doesn't have walkthroughs, things like that. They just have a little team meeting a few hours before they leave for the game, and that's it. And so they didn't have to change their routine, cancel anything, lessen anything, because they don't do anything the day of the game.
And they are virtually alone in that regard as Bryant knocks down the three from the corner to put West Virginia back up. For those who don't know, most teams, if they're playing a 7 o'clock game, they'll come to the gym and they'll have a walkthrough, say, from 11 to 12. And they'll run hard for a while. They'll shoot some free throws. They'll go through the plays of the other team. Syracuse is one of the few, if any, schools that they will not have any kind of time in the gym until they get here for the game at night.
Well, Jim Boeheim thinks that walkthroughs are kind of a waste of time. That most coaches go through it, but he doesn't really think it helps the team that much. Just makes the coaches feel better. They've gone over it and over it, and they can yell at the players when something goes wrong, saying, "I told you not to do that."
Anjanat the rebound off the miss by Butler. And you've got 796 wins. I guess you can pretty much stick to what the plan has been. Johnny Flynn. A big one for Syracuse. We're tied again as they trade baskets here in the second half. And the Flynn smile is certainly working well as a Big East tournament star of yesteryear for Syracuse, Jerry McNamara. The star of the GMAC Invitational back in 2006 when he virtually single-handedly led Syracuse to the tournament crown.
Well, Jerry McNamara in 06 didn't get a whole lot of rest himself. He's probably telling the players, "What are you guys complaining about? Come on, 6 overtimes. What do you need?"
The lob for Jackson. Anjanat with the finish.
Rick Jackson signaled for that lob, and Johnny Flynn trusted him and threw it, but Anjanat was the beneficiary coming from the opposite corner. You see the eye contact between the two players, the big guy Jackson and Johnny Flynn. See him, the icon, he just put his hand up, threw it up there, and Anjanat, Johnny on the spot, or Christoph on the spot. The Johnny of Belgium.
Well, it's rare that a team plays 4 games in 4 days in this tournament. Even rare that a team wins 4 times in 4 days. Pittsburgh did it last year. Syracuse with Jerry McNamara did it back in 06. The winner of this game is going to play its 4th game in as many nights tomorrow night when they will take on the #1 seed, the Louisville Cardinals, in the championship game.
Yeah, when this stuff first started where you had to play 4 games in 4 days in order to win a conference championship, when the age of the super conference started, I thought it was going to be impossible. That any team that would have to play 4 games in 4 days was going to be in the middle to the bottom of the conference. You think that's just too much. But obviously, Pittsburgh and Syracuse have proven that it can be done.
Right now with Rick Jackson on him. Now they drop back into the zone. Deshaun Butler got Jackson flying into the air. And a foul inside.
Rick Jackson's got to stay down on that shot fake.
Well, was charged to Andy Routens.
Andy Routens called for the foul, his 3rd. Just the 2nd here this half for Syracuse. Cam Thurlman going to the line and now for West Virginia. Thurlman gets about 9 minutes a game. He is a rugged 6'7", 225 from Portsmouth, Ohio. Probably the toughest player that West Virginia has. And when they play Pittsburgh up against DeJuan Blair, when they play Cincinnati up against Yancey Gates, those are the kinds of games where a guy like Thurlman gets some minutes.
Well, he's not afraid to throw his body around. He's kind of like Randall Tex Cobb. You know, he'll go in and take a beating for you and does a lot of positive things.
I like that right there. Rebounding his own miss. Butler. Thurlman keeps it alive. Here comes Flynn. Routens. And Ebanks rips it down.
How did he stop that quickly and still keep his balance?
Devendorf with the foul to take us to the under-12 timeout. Syracuse clinging to a 1-point lead. About the only thing brighter in this town than the smile of Johnny Flynn is the lights outside around Times Square down in Atlanta right now. The semis of the ACC tomorrow afternoon on ESPN. The Big 12 Championship at 6 Eastern. And then the Big East Championship at 9 Eastern. And you will be making a trip up to the worldwide leader later tonight. Little college game day tomorrow noon to 1:30, I believe.
Yeah, somebody's got to keep Digger Phelps in line. That's my job. It's funny, Dan. This Syracuse team, from time to time, plays man-to-man defense. They play it all the time in practice. But Jim Boeheim will not come out of it. I mean, West Virginia has knocked down a few threes. Most coaches say, you know what, I've had enough of this. We're going man, get a hand up. Let's knock this three business off. But he plays the percentages better than most any coach I've ever seen. And he knows they can't keep that up.
Shot clock violation. Looked like it should have been. Boy, oh boy. And there's a foul going against Syracuse.
That sure sounded like that ball was in his hands when the buzzer went off and it went to 0.
And that's what Jim Boeheim is saying. Check that. Check that. He's motioning shot clock
violation. Yes, it was still in his hands. Yeah. It is absolutely clear. That was at 0 when the ball was in his hands. But that is not a reviewable play. That is not something that the referees, by rule, are allowed to go back and check. The shot clock is different from the game clock. That is not a timing error.
And the standby official in this game just said that to Jim Boeheim. There's a standby official over at the table who just said, I'm surmising, but he said, and Jim Boeheim nodded.
0.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it was still in his hands. I mean, that was just a missed call by the officials, but it cannot be reviewed.
Yeah. And Jim Boeheim leaned into the standby official who kind of shook his head back and forth, and Jim Boeheim nodded. Not a reviewable play. So now Jim Boeheim saying, well, why didn't you get it right then if it's not a reviewable play? West Virginia benefits and they take the lead.
It's very unusual for the referees to miss something like that. They are usually almost anal retentive about time.
Thurlman called for the foul.
That was a mistake that cost Syracuse 2 points.
Johnny Flynn doesn't get the bounce. Rick Jackson kicks it right back out. Flynn motioning, switching Harris and Routens from side to side. Paul Harris a quiet game tonight.
Switching everything.
Not this time for Routens, and Ruoff another rebound. Number 6 seed Syracuse, number 7 seed West Virginia. One of them will get the number 1 seed Louisville in the championship game tomorrow night at 9 Eastern here on ESPN. Ebanks surrounded.
That defense collapsed very quickly on him.
Ball still loose. Syracuse ball.
When the ball went into the post, everybody was around the ball. So right there, you got everybody collapsing, and Devin Ebanks dribbles it back out and just throws a really bad pass. The guys got to make better passes for West Virginia. They're getting some pressure, but it's not that heavy. Bob Huggins had told Doris Burke at halftime that he wants his guys to get down and make a good pass, not throw it at the feet of the receiver.
Bad pass by Harris. Thurlman the length of the court for the layup. Timeout, Syracuse.
That was not in the scouting report. You don't tell your team you got to worry about Cam Thurlman taking it coast to coast, but he did.
Back at the Garden here midway through the second half. West Virginia's got a 3-point lead. A big play by Cam Thurlman.
Watch Cam Thurlman here being held off here by Rick Jackson, but he doesn't surrender to that. He just goes right through it. I called him Randall Tex Cobb before, but he punches back. That was a nice play by Cam Thurlman. You know, talk about great hustle plays. That was a great hustle play by Cam Thurlman.
Little finesse in his game on that driving layup as well. Over his scoring average. Any field goal will put him over his scoring average, and any offense he gives West Virginia is a bonus for Bob Huggins. A game of runs really here. West Virginia started well. Syracuse took the lead. Mountaineers came back. Syracuse back on top. Now it's West Virginia's turn to lead again.
A little perspiration on the floor. Referees getting into the act to mop it up. Last night there was blood on the floor. Right now just a little perspiration.
The regulars, and there are only 7 for Syracuse, have played all the minutes. Johnny Flynn and Eric Devendorf have not come out of the game after the extended work they did last night.
Looks like they're going a little almost triangle and 2. Trying to stick with Devendorf and Routens.
Anjanata almost fumbled it away.
It's really switching off. A lot of communication and matching up.
And the Orange trying to figure out what's going on and find a way through it. Shot clock is at 2. Routens. And that time they will rule, and correctly so, that he did not get it off in time.
Now that defense, whatever it is, it was hard to figure out, and it's certainly hard for Syracuse to figure out. They were very confused by it.
6 turnovers here in the second half committed by Syracuse after 6 in the entire first half. West Virginia looking to extend the lead. The Mountaineers are shooting 54% in this game. Ebanks. Offensive foul. Anjanat takes the charge.
Well, right now, Bob Huggins is telling Tim Higgins that Ebanks isn't big enough or bulky enough to knock anybody down. Yeah, that was a nice job of acting by the Belgian film star, Christophe Anjanat.
What do they call the Oscars in Belgium?
The waffle.
I'll give one to Anjanat. He's got his team the ball back.
You just have to run your man offense against us.
Jackson. Now Thurman has no choice but to front him because of the size difference and a good post feed.
It's funny. I wouldn't, if I were Cam Thurman, I wouldn't front him. I'd play him side high, and when the ball gets in there, if you can't knock it away, you stay behind and you make him make a play over you. You just don't want him to back you in.
The Orange back within 1. Alex Ruoff gets a decent look. A West Virginia foul. It'll be Thurman.
You watch Jackson right here. Thurman just sitting on his hip. All you have to do is throw the ball up to the rim and let him go and get it. Just holds his ground there. And Devin Ebanks too slow getting over there from the weak side. One of the ways you can take that away is put more pressure on the ball so that the passer can't really see in.
Straight man this trip.
They're switching everything. And they're communicating. It looks almost like a matchup zone, but now they're attacking it in a much more resolute and disciplined fashion.
What a great pass from Anjanat to Jackson, and for the second night in a row, one of the support players on this Syracuse team, Christophe Anjanat, really stepping to the forefront. Bryant with a floater, too short. Jackson the rebound. Flynn on the run. Anjanat. Unfortunate to find Jackson.
Good job by West Virginia to get back.
And Ruoff reaching around Anjanat, called for the foul. The Syracuse Orange are on a bit of a run right now. They are back on top. Great interior passing. Anjanat to Jackson. The Orange have the lead.
When healthy, I think North Carolina is the best team in the country. And Ty Lawson, the ACC Player of the Year, is their speed. And without him, they are a completely different team. Man-to-man, not switching on screens or exchanges on that one.
Huge shot for Eric Devendorf. His third 3 of the game. Of course, one of them was the 55-footer in the last second of the first half. Syracuse by 4.
All the switching in the past few possessions had bothered Syracuse. At that time on the exchange, Chuck Bryant and Ruoff did not switch at all. And Devendorf was able to get a pretty darn good look.
No Harris, no Onuaku in the game right now for Syracuse, with the Routens and Anjanat in off the bench. Thurman. A turnover. Anjanat caused the turnover. Devendorf again. And Ruoff holds off Jackson for the rebound.
That's a pretty good guard rebound. He'll go down there and stick his nose in there and come away with a rebound like that.
Alex Ruoff averaging about 4.5 rebounds per game. He's got 6 tonight. Deshaun Butler from deep in the corner. The Mountaineers back within 1.
Butler coming from the baseline, looping around into the corner. A little overload against that zone.
And back and forth they have gone the entire second half. The Louisville Cardinals awaiting the winner of the championship game tomorrow night.
Jackson is going to be able to post Thurman, maybe get an angle.
Jackson trying to shove Thurman out of the way. Flynn all the way in. Jackson had it and lost it. Anjanat brings it out. Devendorf, he's got one thing on his mind, getting to the rim, and he'll draw the foul, switching to that left hand again.
Against the zone, you can see Deshaun Butler right here. Now he's going to loop around to get into that corner. Get a little, almost rubs behind Cam Thurman. And Christoph Anjanat loses him. Easy look from the corner.
Missed by Devendorf. Wellington Smith back in for Cam Thurman, who gave Bob Huggins some good minutes. Big scoring numbers for Eric Devendorf. Big minutes for Eric Devendorf. 61 last night. Hasn't come out tonight.
That's a layup to only play 40 minutes for him.
By the way, Christoph Anjanat, whom we've mentioned on many occasions tonight, Jay, he has 7 offensive rebounds in this game.
He's been really active. He's found openings, and he's a hard worker. And what a play by Andy Routens.
And what a pass by Anjanat to Devendorf for the layup.
And Devendorf did a terrific job of hesitating to keep Deshaun Butler on his hip. Not let him use his athleticism to try to pin a layup attempt. A lot of times guys will try to go 1,000 miles an hour to get to the rim. But that sometimes gives a superior athlete a chance to block a shot. He prevented that by just essentially pinning Butler to his hip.
Ruoff, a good close on him by Anjanat. Butler inside, yes.
A great pass to the short corner, and then the dive by Deshaun Butler. And there you can see the footwork by Butler. A lot of guys that travel when they catch that pass, not Butler.
A game-high 19 for Deshaun Butler. The Mountaineers within 2. Devendorf pulls up for the 3. Jackson gathers. And now Butler in traffic with a rebound.
Jackson worked so hard, went up with that left hand. He's left-handed. Try to put that thing down, just missed it. That's where you might want to use the glass.
They're looking for some motion offensively. Ebanks can do some things in there. Misses the jumper. Rebounder Routens.
Not sure that's the shot. That was a challenge shot.
Nice pass. Eric Devendorf. Johnny Flynn the assist. Orange by 5.
In transition, this does not look like a tired Syracuse team. And Eric Devendorf and Andy Routens both spot up so well in transition along that three-point line. And Johnny Flynn knows how to find them.
You're watching semifinal action of the 2009 Big East Championship from Madison Square Garden in New York City. A part of Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods on ESPN. Due to time constraints, we move ahead in our coverage. Boy, what a fun few days of college basketball. And you could say the same about what's happened right here at Madison Square Garden. And Eric Devendorf has been having about as much fun as anybody, Jay.
Well, Eric Devendorf can really shoot it. He's just got an aptitude for scoring. And when I talked about stepping into your shot as a shooter, that's not really what I was talking about from 100 feet away. But he has a knack for scoring. He's got a hunger for it. And he also has a flair for the dramatic.
Speaking of hunger, let's see who's been heating up. Brought to you by DiGiorno. The last 9 Syracuse points have been scored by Eric Devendorf. And earlier I said he's played every minute tonight. Beg your pardon. He was out 2 minutes tonight after he picked up his 3rd foul. So 61 minutes last night. He's only missed 2 tonight. Johnny Flynn 67 last night, and he has not missed a minute tonight. And here are the Orange 3.5 minutes away from a win. Ruoff's the guy they close out on in a hurry. Butler trying to shake Jackson. Shot clock violation, and boy, oh boy. Now Jim Boeheim says, okay, that one was clearly after the buzzer, but if they don't blow the whistle, it's 2 points at the other end for Syracuse.
And I'll tell you what, these officials during the Big East Championship have done a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be a Green Beret to ref some of these games, how physical they are. And one of the officials came over to us during the last time out to ask us, did the replay confirm a shot clock violation? Did we miss it? And nobody wants to get it right more than these officials. Nobody.
Tim Higgins, Ed Corbett, and Michael Stevens doing an outstanding job here tonight in the second semifinal. Jackson brings it down. Ebanks takes it away.
You said it. Brings it down. And it's so hard to gather yourself and go up without bringing it down as a big guy because you know there's going to be some contact.
Good cut by Bryant. 17-footer. Three-point game. 2.5 to go.
That was a mature move by Chuck Bryant. Saw an open area, cut to the ball, and was ready to shoot, and the ball arrived.
There has not really been a moment tonight, wouldn't you agree, Jay, where you've looked at the Orange and said fatigue is setting in. You can see the effects of last night. They've looked like themselves.
No, I mean, you can quarrel with a shot or two here and say, well, you know, that one was short. Could it be? But no, they haven't looked tired to me.
Johnny Flynn draws the foul on Bryant.
You can see there's an open area right here, and Bryant comes right into that open area. He was on the opposite wing. And instead of just standing there waiting for a skip pass, and while the ball's in the air, giving the defense the chance to recover, he very intelligently cut into that open area, cut down the distance of that pass, and got a shot as a result.
Free throw shooting is not a strength of the Syracuse team. Just 64% as a team. But if Jim Boeheim's got to have somebody at the line, this is the guy he wants. Johnny Flynn, 78% and so many big free throws last night.
Everybody on the Syracuse team hit big free throws last night in the overtime periods. None bigger than the two hit by Virginia-Syracuse. And he swished them both.
Yep. He had been 1 for his last 16 until he hit 2 free throws. Who knows what overtime period it was in. It was somewhere deep into the game when he hit 2 huge ones. And now Bob Huggins will use a timeout. Just over 2 minutes to go. Syracuse less than 24 hours removed from last night's epic game. Let's take a look back at what happened last night against UConn.
Syracuse in the orange and Connecticut in the white. For Robinson. Devendorf all the way to the bucket. Walker all around to lay it in. Devendorf at the buzzer. Oh! Good! They're going to wave it up. Flynn with the beat on him. Off to Jackson. And we'll head for double overtime. Harrison close. Missed again. Adrian. No! Overtime number 6. Harris fouled and it counts.
Well, Sean McDonough going the distance last night, as you could hear, with all of his calls. And you know it's an instant classic when they've already got T-shirts made up less than 24 hours later.
How do I get one of those? That's pretty neat.
March 12th and 13th. Nice touch.
You know, the look on Jim Boeheim's face as the clock ticked down to 0 in that 6 overtime was priceless. And he was basically saying, I can't believe that was unbelievable.
Under 2 minutes to go. The Orange by 5.
No threes. Syracuse cannot allow Ruoff to get an open look at the basket.
Devendorf well beyond the three-point line defending him. It'll stay with West Virginia. 1:42 to play. 10 on the shot clock.
Andy Routen's knocking that away. Such a smart defender. Plays angles so well. Anticipates.
Ebanks forces it up and hits it.
Boy, and did it with contact. I mean, Ebanks put his hands up. Or excuse me, Anjanot put his hands up on Ebanks, but used his lower body to bump him.
Even Ebanks was shaking his head, Jay, in disbelief as he ran back down on D. Milking the clock. The ally of the Orange right now. They can take it down to about a minute.
One possession game. Here's the ball screen that worked so well last night, trying to move around Hashim Thabit.
Quinn. Anjanot. Clean block. Loose ball. Still loose. And a timeout call. Truck Bryant calls the timeout.
Virginia calls timeout.
And for those who feel this week these tournaments don't mean a whole lot to these kids, look at this effort.
The hustle, impressive. Great pass. And all ball by Alex Ruoff up top. Wellington Smith might have got him with the body. But everybody down on the floor. Possession is everything. And Ebanks getting bumped down low, double teamed, high and tight, and drops it.
Now more great college action coming your way tomorrow as Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods continues at 6 Eastern. The Baylor Bears looking for the shocking run through the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship and a spot in the NCAA tournament will take on the winner of tonight's game between Oklahoma State and Missouri. And then Doris, Jay, and I will be back here at Madison Square Garden. Louisville against the winner of this one, 9 Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN and ESPN HD. West Virginia is out of timeouts. Syracuse has fouls to give. The arrow to the Mountaineers. The Mountaineers with the ball down by 3 under a minute to go.
I don't think Syracuse wants to just start fouling indiscriminately right now just to take some time off the clock because West Virginia is going to have to work the ball a bit against this 2-3 zone to get a good shot. But having fouls to give, very important for Syracuse down this last minute of the game.
Jim Boeheim says with the same 5, which means Jackson and Anjan out of the big guys. Onuaku is on the bench. Paul Harris is on the bench. It'll be Bryant, Butler, Ruoff, Smith, and Ebanks for the Mountaineers.
One thing Syracuse does not want to do is allow an open 3.
Ebanks steps in. Bounce pass. Butler with the reverse. Wellington Smith with the follow.
Great hands by Wellington Smith. Went after it with both hands and pursued the ball.
His first 2 points of the night are enormous. Jim Boeheim will use a timeout.
Syracuse calls timeout.
Deshaun Butler so good along the baseline. Wasn't able to get the first shot to go, but this is an outstanding offensive rebounding team. The back cut, the nice pass from Devin Ebanks, and that ball was right there for Rick Jackson to grab. He didn't, and Wellington Smith did. Just right in front, grabs it with both hands and puts it up quickly off the glass.
How often do you see in games like this at the NJ, it's about that extra hustle, the dive instead of bending over, filling the spot, filling the gap, and getting the rebound. It's just about heart right now.
It's a loose ball.
Yeah.
I mean, every rebound is a loose ball. And Wellington Smith went after that loose ball. Nobody laid a body on him. And oftentimes when you're playing against a zone team where there are no defined blockout responsibilities, offensive rebounds are going to be available. And West Virginia is a great offensive rebounding team, one of the top 7 offensive rebounding teams in the country.
Syracuse with the ball and a 1-point lead. 38 seconds to go, 28 on the shot clock. Paul Harris has now returned for Syracuse. Rick Jackson has gone to the bench, so no true center, no true big guy for the Orange. A better offensive group right now.
10-second differential, shot clock to game clock, so not like West Virginia has to foul. They can play him straight up.
Ruoff defending Flynn. This is a challenge. Ebanks on Diebendorf. Bryant on Routens. Flynn on the drive. And a foul.
The strength of Johnny Flynn. He had a ball screen that was going to take him to the left. Instead, he refused it to drive right. He is a strong right-hand driver. Just seeks out the body of the defender. The weak side defender is Wellington Smith. Just seeks out that contact and gets the foul. Bob Huggins say, hey, Wellington Smith went straight up and down.
Johnny Flynn, Jay, is now 3 for 3 from the line tonight on the heels of a 16 for 16 performance last night. As Jim Boeheim's wife, Julie, and family look on. Routens will sit down. Jackson is back in for Syracuse. Thurlman has come in now for Smith for West Virginia.
Johnny Flynn is tough as nails. And nowhere do you show more toughness than stepping to the line at the end of games and knocking down big free throws.
Missed it. 2-point game. West Virginia, no timeouts.
There's the foul. Smart play by Eric Diebendorf.
They've got fouls to give. That is the 5th. So they can do it one more time. Slow them down. Take a few more seconds off the clock.
Just have to be smart and careful that you do not give up one of these fouls, letting somebody get into their shooting motion.
And there's another one. Harris fouls Butler. That's the 6th.
Not a lot of time going off the clock there. Still a ton of time for West Virginia to get into something and get off a good shot. What you really have to watch out for here is an offensive rebound.
Ebanks on the penetration all the way inside, and a foul on Jackson. And the freshman is going to the line for 2 free throws that could tie the game.
Could have easily been an and one because Jackson didn't lay him out. Good drive by Devin Ebanks. Used that left hand, almost got that thing to go. And now he's got to step to the line. Even if he's able to drain both of these, there's still plenty of time. And Johnny Flynn can definitely get the ball from end to end in 4 seconds.
Perfect from the line tonight. The Syracuse fans behind the basket trying to make it difficult for Ebanks. Pretty confident looking freshman, huh?
There's no doubt about that one. He's got a great demeanor as he steps to the line.
Andy Routens for Paul Harris. Joe Mazzulla, the injured point guard, out for the season with a shoulder injury, looking on from the West Virginia bench. Arinze Onuaku back into the game for the Orange. Anjanot out. Syracuse does have 1 timeout.
If they can get it in quickly, I wouldn't use it. You use the timeout if you, well, here you go. They're going to talk about it right now.
Try to ice the shooter a little bit. How many times did you see that expression last night?
That's all you saw.
Well, nobody knew quite what to expect. As you said, there was no precedent to see how a team coming off a 6 overtime game would play less than 24 hours later. Both teams have played hard, played well. This has been a treat here tonight.
You know, this hasn't been an issue of being tired. You know, Syracuse hasn't looked tired for 1 second in this ball game. Maybe it'll catch up with them at a later time, but they've shown a lot of heart, a lot of courage in this game, as you would expect. And West Virginia, a younger team, have a lot of freshmen that they're putting out on the floor, and they played in large part like veterans in this ball game. But this is a key point, obviously, in the game. If Devin Ebanks is able to get this second free throw to go down and we're tied at 63, West Virginia's got to make Johnny Flynn or whoever is the receiver catch the ball coming back toward the baseline. Can't let him catch it with a head of steam going the other way, because 4.8 seconds, you can easily get the ball length of the court and get a layup, get to the rim in 4.8 seconds, especially a guy like Johnny Flynn with his great speed and explosiveness.
Flynn joined by Routens, Devendorf, Jackson, and Onuaku. The 2 big guys are in there to secure the rebound and get Syracuse out on the move as quickly as they can, but it all begins with Devin Ebanks, the freshman who is 5 for 5 from the line tonight, just calmly knocked one down. 1 more to tie it.
Better get going. He only gets 10 seconds.
Tie game, 4.8 to go. Routens to inbound. Looking for Flynn. Into Onuaku. Time running off the clock. Jackson. Overtime.
Can you believe it?
Great job by the Mountaineers not letting Syracuse get anything going there.
They made Onuaku catch it. Looked like he almost got fouled there, but that was a great job defensively, putting size on the ball, making him catch it, going back toward the ball.
Here we go again. On to overtime at the Garden.
Don't make any plans tonight.
With 4.8 seconds on the clock, and then an outstanding job of the Mountaineers to prevent Syracuse from getting a shot off.
Well, and impressive knocking those free throws down, but just as impressive, Devin Ebanks on the ball, the defense forcing Syracuse to inbound it, going toward the opposite baseline. They really had no chance to get a decent shot. And that's one of the reasons. Now, Jim Boeheim knows what he's doing. Don't get me wrong. But I would not have called the timeout in between the free throws. I would have called the timeout if I couldn't get the ball in bounds the way I wanted to draw, and then I would have drawn something up. Now, this guy is one of the great coaches in the history of the game. I'm not saying what he did was wrong. I'm just saying I might have tried something a little bit different there.
Last night it took 6 overtimes. The headlines splashed all over the papers here in New York and nationally. into overtime here tonight. Routon, Stevendorf, Harris, Onuaku, and Flynn against Ruoff, Ebanks, Bryant, Smith, and Butler. Wellington Smith has 4 fouls. Eric Devendorf has 4 fouls, 1 aside.
West Virginia switching all the screens up top. Switch right there on the ball screen. Switch back.
Onuaku looking for help. Can't find anybody. Still looking. Devendorf dumps it off. Harris with a layup.
That was Paul Harris from Eric Devendorf.
Just the second field goal tonight for Harris.
You know, Rinzi Onuaku didn't lose his poise. When he was stuffed in the post, nowhere to go, he could have easily walked or thrown that ball up for grabs, but he didn't. Eric Devendorf just made a great play. Keep the ball off the sideline. Get it into the middle of the floor. And when you get it on the sideline of the baseline, you want to get it there because you got a shot.
Running out of time, down to 6. Butler will have to take a 25-footer, and Harris snags the rebound. A win over Seton Hall 2 nights ago, a 6-overtime win over Connecticut last night, and now into overtime here against West Virginia. Johnny Flynn, 35 minutes 2 nights ago, 67 minutes last night, every minute so far of this game here tonight. Routon's using a screen from Onuaku. Onuaku with a strong offensive rebound. Flynn with the cut and the finish.
Onuaku just out-muscled West Virginia for that ball, and a great cut by Flynn.
Johnny Flynn, part smile, part grimace as he goes back down the court. How much do the Orange have in it? Smith off to Bryant for the baseline jumper. Not there. Onuaku the rebound.
A great tip by Andy Routon. He couldn't get the ball, but tipped it to a teammate. That was a smart play.
And Flynn very slowly into the front court. They've got the lead. They've got the ball. Milking the clock a little bit.
2-possession game. They can afford to do it.
Down to 10. And a foul on Smith.
There's no way that Smith or Ruoff can stay in front of Johnny Flynn. I don't care how many minutes he's played. Here you can see Onuaku. Great job not to panic there. Terrific drive and pass by Devendorf. And then how about this rebound by Onuaku? Just not giving up on it, rebounding out of his area, and a terrific pass off a great basket cut by Johnny Flynn. And there's the bright smile again. That's more of a grimace. I'll give him a grimace on it.
Started with smile, morphed into grimace. He was seen stretching a couple of minutes ago, and again, he's played an incredible number of minutes over the last 3 days. And as Doris told us off the top of the show, at 6 in the morning, he couldn't sleep. He was so wound up, and he called one of the assistant coaches and said, "What are you doing?" They were watching tape, and he wanted in. Could not settle himself down. Has not left the court tonight.
Well, Johnny Flynn does look tired right now, but I don't think he's going to let it affect him down the stretch.
144 minutes in 3 nights.
And counting.
Yep. And the lead up to 6 and counting after the free throws. That foul knocked Wellington Smith out of the game. Cam threw him and replaces him. In the first 5 overtimes last night, Syracuse did not lead for a single second. And then took care of business in overtime number 6.
And there's Andy Routens again defensively. He's got the reputation as a shooter, and he can really drill it. That young man is a very good defender that understands how to play angles and how to play in Jim Boeheim's zone defense.
Win the kick. Routens the 3. Harris races it back out of there. Got to get a shot off.
He just panicked. Yeah, there's still plenty of time. He just heard somebody yelling shot clock. And he panicked.
Did take 35 seconds off the clock. 6-point deficit for West Virginia. Less than a minute and a half to go.
Harris has to shake it off and move on to the next play.
Butler. Oh, tough shot off the glass. 21 for Butler.
How do you see the basket? Onuaku was all over him. It was like an eclipse.
And the Orange will take it into the final minute. Normally you just say, we're in overtime. You feel like saying overtime number 1 here tonight, given what happened last night. Under a minute to go, Syracuse with the ball and a 4-point lead.
Calling a set now in the last 10 seconds of the shot clock.
Devendorf creating. And a foul. Devendorf will go to the line for 2 shots.
Dayshawn Butler is one terrific player. Second team all Big East. Catches it, the little step back, and Onuaku was right there. I mean, that's about as good a job as a defender like Onuaku is going to do on a quicker guy like Dayshawn Butler.
One of the incredible things about the Syracuse performance last night was their free throw shooting in the overtimes. They were 23 for 26. And this from a team that shoots only 64% on the season. Devendorf called for a foul. And he has fouled out. He was trying to chase down his missed free throw. He thought he got called for a lane violation, or did he get called for just a lane violation?
That's why I didn't understand that, because Ed Corbett went to put the ball in bounds. Otherwise, it would have been free throw.
Yeah. Mistakenly called out as a foul by the PA announcer, so it is a lane violation.
The shot, the free throw has to hit the rim before the shooter can break the plane of the free throw line.
A foul would have taken Devendorf out of the game.
He knew he missed it and wanted to get after it, but it has to hit the rim first, otherwise it's a violation.
Seconds ticking away on West Virginia. Ruoff off balance. Rebound. And Kevin Jones is fouled. Onuaku, I believe. Jones to the line.
Foul is charged to Onuaku, Syracuse's second.
Jones, a freshman and a 55% free throw shooter on the season.
Okay, these young Mountaineers have stepped to the line with a lot of confidence. Do they know this is the Mecca of college basketball, the world's most famous arena in New York City? If they don't tell them.
Got them both. Timeout, Bob Huggins. Another eventful night at Madison Square Garden. Louisville over Villanova in the first semi tonight to advance to the championship game tomorrow night. Syracuse and West Virginia are in overtime. We've got 28.2 seconds to go in overtime. Syracuse is leading by 3. Syracuse has the ball.
Syracuse can run the baseline. And it is very important right now to get this ball inbounds safely.
Johnny Flynn, the Iron Man of the Big East Championship. 67 out of 70 last night. Hasn't come out of the game tonight. Anjanov thinking about the home run pass. Settles for Harris. And the foul. It will be 1-1. 9th team foul. So Harris, a 75% shooter, will go to the line for Syracuse.
West Virginia foul is
and it's not like Harris doesn't go to the line often. He shot close to 150 free throws on the year. He is used to getting fouled.
Last night he went 13 of 14 from the line against Connecticut. First time tonight.
It takes a tremendous amount of pressure off a shooter to know you got 2 foul shots coming. 1-1 is a lot different mental challenge at the end of a game. West Virginia in a 2-possession game now. They've got to get the ball down court quickly. And I think they got to get to the rim.
4-point game.
Not a good foul.
Paul Harris called for the foul.
Not a good foul because it stops the clock. Let him go.
What are you doing, said Jim Boeheim.
You let him go, try to angle him out. But you certainly don't want to foul there. It lengthens the game, allows them to score with no time going off the clock, and better yet, it allows them to set up full court pressure.
At the line, shooting 1-1.
Devin Ebanks going to the line, a 1-1 for the freshman, who calmly hit 2 free throws right near the end of regulation to help force overtime.
Nothing rushes this young man. He takes his time on the line.
Pretty impressive stuff.
He's an outstanding young player. I mean, he's going to get better and better. He's just scratching the surface of how good he's going to be. And one of the things his coaches like best about him is that he's active and smart, and you tell him something once and he processes it and acts on it.
That career high that he set tonight broke the one he set last night. 20 against Pittsburgh, 21 and perhaps counting against Syracuse.
Nothing but net to both of them.
2-point game. Anjanat in for Anawaku. 30-second timeout is Syracuse as we revisit one more time the incredible events of last night's game.
I don't think Syracuse in the orange and Connecticut in the white. Robinson. Devendorf all the way to the bucket. Walker all around to lay it in. Devendorf at the buzzer. Good! They're going to wave it up. Flynn with the beat on him. Off to Jackson. And we'll head for double overtime. Harrison close. Missed again. Adrian. No! Overtime number 6. Harris fouled and it counts.
How long is tonight's game going to go? 20 seconds left in first overtime. Syracuse with the ball and a 2-point lead.
Got a 30-second timeout, but Jim Boeheim didn't look like he called it.
Somebody in white had to. West Virginia didn't have one. Syracuse had the only timeout. They are both out of timeouts right now.
Boeheim had a sub coming in after the free throw, but Ed Corbett came over and signaled. Ed Corbett came over and said he called the timeout. And Jim Boeheim was trying to say, no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Anjanat to inbound. No timeouts. And a foul on Devin Ebanks, trying to slow down the progress of Paul Harris.
Well, Harris was trying to break long, and Ebanks just grabbed him. That call was just a little bit late, but you could see the grab. Now, West Virginia is so long and athletic, they really make it difficult for you to get the ball in bounds.
2 shots for Harris, 1 of 2 his last time down. Syracuse against Seton Hall a couple of nights ago when they won, went 6 out of 20 from the free throw line. Last night they were 40 of 51. And tonight, while they have struggled overall, 10 of 16, 63%, they have hit some very big ones here in overtime.
This is the big one.
1 possession game. No timeouts.
Question is, do you foul, and if so, when? He fouled him.
Devendorf credited with a block. No foul by West Virginia. Devendorf the layup.
He looked like he hit him on that play.
Ebanks for 3, but it's all a moot point now. The Syracuse Orange, 24 hours removed from a 6-overtime game, need 1 overtime period here tonight to beat West Virginia and advance to the championship tomorrow night.
What a gutsy performance by Syracuse. Just when you think they might fold up the tent, they show even more courage in this next ball game.